If you've opened PriceLabs and immediately felt overwhelmed by all the settings, numbers, and customizations on the screen, this video is for you. I'm Stacey St. John, and I'm a short-term rental investor and property manager, and I manage a portfolio of 45 properties. PriceLabs is an incredibly powerful tool, but here's the problem. Having access to great data doesn't help if you don't know what to do with it. So I asked PriceLabs to help me create a training series that starts at the very beginning. What should you set up first? How do you choose your base price? And how do you choose your minimum price? Which settings actually matter and which ones you should not touch when you're getting started? And make sure you stay with us till the very end because we're going to show you one of the biggest mistakes PriceLabs users make: customizing too much too soon. Kyle from PriceLabs is going to show you exactly what he recommends leaving alone, what you should actually pay attention to, and how to let PriceLabs do the job you hired it to do. So whether you've just signed up for PriceLabs or you've had it for a few months and still aren't completely sure what you're doing, this is where I'd start. All right, let's dive into it. So today we are here with Kyle Driscoll, a senior solutions consultant for PriceLabs. Kyle, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having us, Stacey. I'm looking forward to the content that we've got and diving into what PriceLabs can offer.
Amen. You know, I'm so excited to bring this series to folks because so often PriceLabs, is such a name that's used widely in our industry. Everyone loves the tool and everyone always wants to learn more. And I think when you're just starting out, it's so easy to feel overwhelmed. So I would love to just start at the very beginning. Let's say I have just signed up for PriceLabs. Kyle, what do I need to know and do first?
So I've got my screen pulled up. Now I've already populated some listings in here, but we're going to pretend like I don't have these listings in here right now. The very first thing that you want to do, you're going to make sure you go and you add your listings here. So if you're using a property management system, you can very easily go right through here and search for whichever one you have. You can scroll if you want to. You can type it in there as well. For example, if somebody uses Guesty, you can go right there and click it. Now, if you're not using property management system, you can still connect to any of the OTAs that we service. You've got Airbnb, Booking, Vrbo, Halfie there. All you've got to do, click right there, and then you're going to follow the necessary steps. Now, for Airbnb, we just click. But the beautiful thing about this process as well, you're not on your own. Even if you're the only person looking at the screen, you've got hyperlinks right here that can help you out as well. So if you ever have any questions, look for blue icons in PriceLabs. There's a couple of other things I'm going to teach you through the course of this to look for, but anytime you see those blue icons, you see this eye right here, it's going to help give you a little bit more information. So go ahead and start by connecting to whichever system you're using, whether it's directly with those OTAs or property management system. Now, if you are using several OTAs, let's say you have one property and you have an individual connection to Airbnb, to Booking, and then to Vrbo as well. One thing that's very important for you, and will even save you a little bit of money, but it'll keep your strategy in line, you're going to want to make sure that you map those listings. Map listings is right here. It looks kind of like a guy with a top hat, so to speak, but you're going to click on that and you'll be able to select your parent listing from there. And then you'll be able to map the other ones. So if you start off with your Airbnb as your parent listing, you can then map Vrbo and Booking.com to it. And then basically all you would need to do is work directly from that Airbnb. So you would start here. Now, I don't have a child listing, as we can see, but it would pop up with the selection for you. And you'll also have a few extra boxes down here. Those check boxes will let you know whether or not they're going to overwrite settings on your child listing, but you can select those as you'd like to. And again, if you get here and you get stuck, you have helpful links all throughout here to help out. And then you can always reach out to our awesome team, support@pricelabs.co, if you ever get kind of stuck somewhere.
Awesome. And just to clarify, if anybody's watching and they're like, okay, why would I map listings? So correct me if I'm wrong, Kyle. If you are not working through a PMS and you are listing on 3 different OTAs, when you map the listings, you can just change the pricing, let's say for your Airbnb listing, the parent listing, and then it will automatically make those same adjustments to the other OTAs. Is that an accurate way to describe that?
Yes, Absolutely correct. So with this view that I have right here, even though they aren't mapped, we're going to do a little bit of pretending throughout the course of this, but we're going to pretend that they are. So if this was my parent list, or if this were my parent listing, and these are my child's or my children, not my child's, uh, I would make my changes here. And then after I save those changes, it would populate to these children listings as well.
Gotcha. Awesome. 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 What's next?
Well, I think the next step is making sure that you get the baseline parameters correct. Now, I have a little bit of a different view here, and I wish I had taken some things off before I started recording this. But your basic view is going to have your minimum prices, your base prices, bedroom count, and city. And then you're going to see some occupancy metrics over here. Now, if we have time later in this, I'll talk about why I have some extra metrics in here. But I want us to start with the most important things that you put in PriceLabs. So after you make that connection, these two guys right here are the most important for you. So we're going to come and hit review prices. And this is going to pull up our calendar. Now, depending where you are in your journey, if you're brand new in PriceLabs, you're probably going to have something populated in here for you, but you may or may not want to accept that just off of the rip, so to speak. Now, what is initially going to be populated for you is what PriceLabs recommends as your base price. If you've historically performed pretty well, that's going to be based off of your previous rates, your previous performance, and it's going to be a calculation there for you. If you have not performed well in the past, or you have a brand new listing, it's going to go to market based. So it's going to look at the hyper local area around you. Essentially, if you are in, like this listing right here we're looking at is in Chicago. So this isn't going to look at the entire area of Chicago. It's going to look at a very specific area. This one is located close to Wintrust Arena, which is right out, or it's where the Chicago Sky play in the WNBA. But it's going to be hyper focused around 350 properties in that area. Similar bedroom size, similar distance, things like that play in there. So if you have good historical data, you're going to have a recommendation based off your performance. If not, you're going to have the ability to be based off of the market. So as we can see the difference, if I had just started this listing and it were brand new, I would be at $142 on this base price. Unfortunately, this listing, it's a dummy listing. Kyle's not actually bad at revenue management, but this
I was going to ask you about that, Kyle.
I'm not bad at revenue management. This is a fake account for me, but that 112 is based off of how I've performed. I haven't gone in and put any reservations in. So the system acknowledges, hey, your cleaning fees here. This is what we're comparing it to. We can see all of that right here. 112 is based off of my performance. So in my opinion, I'm sticking with that 112 there. Okay. And then if you ever want to dial in, you can look there, but you don't need to do that. Trust what you get as a recommendation on that base price. And then ultimately, as you evolve with PriceLabs, as it learns your property, it's going to adjust for you as well. It's going to give recommendations. It's not going to automatically adjust. It'll give you recommendations so that you can go and adjust if you want to. Now, minimum price is the second key component for you. And this is something that protects you, but it can hurt you as well. So when we talk about minimum price, we want you to be able to actually look at your cost for staying if you can. Now, if you can't look and see like, okay, all of my fixed cost, all of my variable costs for a one night stay, it's going to be about $75. You can use PriceLabs to figure out what that minimum price would be. Now, once you select your base price, the optimal recommendation from us is we need about 20% gap between the minimum and the base price. So you can use it that way. You can go in and say, I've selected my base price. Let's do 20% difference there. Obviously, you can set a baseline price if you have it in your mind. If you set this minimum price too high, it could hurt your ability to get bookings. It could prevent those last minute bookings for you. On the same side, and I should have mentioned this when we talked about the base price, if you go too high on your base price, if you price it like a luxury property, and it may not necessarily warrant that, it's going to be hard to get booked up during your peak season rates might be a little too high, and then low season might be a little bit too high as well. So be realistic with your base price, be realistic with your minimum price, but protect yourself with that as well. Those are the two biggest things that drive what PriceLabs does. And then my assumption is, as we get a little bit further in this, we'll talk a little bit about the algorithm and how PriceLabs adjusts based off of that base price.
Love it. Love it. Love it. No, that's awesome. I'm curious. If I'm a new user on PriceLabs and maybe I'm just hooking up my first Airbnb listing. And again, I've never done this before. How do I even know that my prices on PriceLabs are syncing with Airbnb specifically? What should I be looking out for?
Yeah, that's a great question. So inside of PriceLabs, the first thing you're looking at is right up here, that green toggle, and verifying that's on. And you can also see right here when it was last synced. So you can see that inside of PriceLabs. You can also see it from your pricing dashboard right here. But the number one thing you need to do after you make this connection, whether it's a property management system, Airbnb, Vrbo, anybody, go to that rate calendar or the tape chart, or go into your Airbnb account and verify that some of these rates have passed through. It's as simple as going right back over to your calendar. So I could look here and say, okay, I'm at 154 on the 7th of August. I'm going to go check Airbnb's calendar and see if that matches. If it doesn't match, there might be something to troubleshoot in there, but generally speaking, you should see that connection. Once the connection's established and you see that it's synced, it usually updates within just a few moments or so.
Awesome. Now, just going back to the pricing piece of it, and I know you said, obviously if you have an established history, it will base the base price recommendation off of that history. I'm curious, from your vantage point, when is it okay to overwrite what PriceLabs suggests? When should I never touch it? When should I absolutely leave it alone?
Yeah, so if you're extremely novice and you've not really messed with pricing before, my advice is going to be to trust the system. PriceLabs has been around now for about 11, I think going on 12 years maybe. But we've got a very great team in the back end that is trying to build out something to really set you up for success. Now, if you understand your market a little bit more, maybe you've done some pricing, maybe you want to learn it and you want to be hands-on with it, a simple way to think of your base price would be, what is my average daily rate for an entire calendar year? So we're going to take those peaks out, we'll take those valleys out for low season, and look at an entire 365 days and say, what would that average baseline be? That's how you can use the base price as well. And you can manually set those. If you have a price in mind, you can always tinker with these things, but keep in mind as you're tinkering, you have that helpful help me choose a base price tool to help direct it a little bit as well. So maybe you couple both of those in there, take a look at the base price tool, you get a recommendation for 112. Yeah, maybe I feel a little bit more like I'm a 125 type deal. Go ahead and give that a try, especially if you're just starting up, because the system will learn, and it'll take about 14 to 21 days, so 2 or 3 weeks, but the system's going to give you a recommendation on how to improve that. And if you're astronomically off with the base price, it's going to get you back in line very quickly for you.
Yeah. I will share with you one of my own strategies from a launch perspective with any brand new listing, regardless of how long someone has been hosting. This is just my own approach. I'm not saying it's the only approach, but my own approach is to be very competitive on price early on, because you don't have reviews or any sort of status with that property to give people a trust factor to book you. So one of the ways that we can attract guests is having a super competitive price. We want to get as many bookings in that first 30 days as humanly possible, so it trains the algorithms to love us, right? And once you get 5 reviews in that are 5 solid, good 5-star reviews, then I love to start inching up pricing from there, just in case that's helpful.
Absolutely. That is such great advice. And coupling some things like if you are using Airbnb and you've got a brand new listing, taking advantage of their first 3 booking discount can be wildly beneficial to your ability to generate revenue 9 months, 12 months down the line. The one thing I would say as a caveat on that, if you're using that discount, make sure your calendar is blocked out far out so that those apply in the short term. Similar to what Stacey's saying, you want to get those bookings immediately, get 5-star reviews immediately. You don't want somebody to take that 20% discount for Christmas or for peak ski season, and then you don't get a review for 7 months. So block your calendar, get those 3 bookings, then open that calendar up all the way, and you will be very highly favored in the Airbnb algorithm in particular.
Yeah, love that, love that, love that. Okay, so what is your recommendation, especially knowing that it might take 2 to 3 weeks for PriceLabs to really obviously get a good feel for where this property feel. It's probably the very opposite of feel, but you get my drift, to really learn the property and its performance. What should we never touch in the first 30 days? Like, what do we absolutely need to be leaving alone?
Especially if you're just starting to learn PriceLabs, don't touch the customizations unless you absolutely know why it needs to be used and you've found a use case for it. As a part of the algorithm that PriceLabs has, you have certain functionality. You have a last minute pricing functionality that, depending on the market you're in, it'll start lowering rates at a certain date for you. You have orphan day pricing, meaning if you do get a booking and it's here, you have a little gap right here, and then you've got another booking, it's going to work for you and lower those rates for you. We can see all of those kind of over here on my left side with the booking recency factor, far out premium, and safety minimum price. One thing that we see a lot of folks do, they come into the customizations and they click edit and they say, whoa, PriceLabs offers all of these capabilities. And a lot of people will think because those capabilities are there that it's, they might be missing out on something. But ultimately, to get the most out of the tool, start off at the default stage. Observe what's happening. If you set your base price and you start getting a bunch of bookings, use that as a trigger to go up there and go ahead and increase your base price before the system tells you to. If you're sitting there at a base price and you've been pricing for 10 days and nothing's getting booked up, go ahead and go in there and just tweak it down a little bit. You don't want to take, 10% off of your base price, but tweak it down a little bit and see if you can help influence that. But the number one piece of advice I would give, trust that base price, let the system learn, try to get these bookings in that first month, but ultimately don't touch the customizations until you really know why you need to use those.
And so I guess that leads me to my next question. How do I know when I'm ready to change and update those customizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully, PriceLabs is a great tool. All of the dynamic pricing tools out there can help you out, but PriceLabs is really elite. But I like to compare it, and I hope this doesn't come across terribly, but it's a tool. It's like a hammer. If I'm sitting there and I'm hammering a nail in, I have to have a little bit of control in it. Now, they have hammers that you can hold like this and the head will knock it for you. But if I go in there and I start throwing hammers at the nail, probably not gonna get through, not get what I want out of it. So what I would say, observe over that 14 to 21 days, see if there's anything that's changed for you. We'll probably get to this a little bit later, but this tab right here, neighborhood data, has so much information for you. It can be overwhelming, but if you can get in there and just in particular, we're going to ignore some of this noise real quick with the lines. Don't want the audience to get overwhelmed or anything, but come right here to this area and it'll help you understand more of what's happening in the market. And it'll let you kind of understand, should I be getting booked up? Particularly this booking window. I think that's the most important metric outside of total RevPAR, which is, where we're going to be looking at for how much revenue we're making. In terms of what's happening in the market, understanding this booking window is very, very important. And when you can look at it, we can see, okay, for July, people were booking on average 40 days out. Well, if I'm in the middle of July, odds are I'm probably going to need to be a little bit lower on pricing. So understanding this particular area can be really, really beneficial for you. But at the same time, I'm not just saying this to get the support email out there, but if you have questions, we've got a really good team to help you. So support at pricelabs.co. If you get into one of these situations where you've set something up, you don't really see bookings coming in, and maybe there's an opportunity for a customization there.
Love that. Love that. Kyle, if someone is watching this and they're like, oh my gosh, PriceLabs seems so amazing. It seems that there's all this stuff that I can do. Where do I go to learn all of this? What would you say would be the best recommendation? Obviously, there's content like this out on YouTube, and I love that we're doing this together. My goal is to share with as many people as possible the amazing things we can do with the PriceLabs tool. And yet, I know that the PriceLabs team offers so much more. So where is the best place, do you feel, for folks to go and learn all the opportunities within PriceLabs?
Yeah, so there's a lot of content out there for sure, and I'm so excited that this is going out in particular, because I think you probably know this as well, Stacey. There's some people that put bad information out there, or they might try to teach a secret sauce that works for their properties, but it may not work for yours. So PriceLabs, and in particular, my wonderful teammate Karishma, who I get to work very closely with on education and on our RM partners team as well, she and her team have built out an incredible, just tons of resources for you. And real quick, I clicked kind of fast while I was talking. I'm going to step back over here. You go right up here to your settings. And if you go to training, that takes you to our PriceLabs Academy. And this is what Karishma and her team have been building out. It has everything that you could need depending on where you're at in your journey. If you're brand new, you have a course right there. If you want to know how to optimize after you've been set up, you have a course right here as well. If you want to look a little bit deeper into the data, pay attention to the graphs a little bit more, understand your portfolio analytics, you have that here as well. Now, I actually just finished day 4 of a boot camp that we run once a month. It's called PriceLabs Masterclass. You can jump in there as well. We teach some of the basics of PriceLabs and even a little bit more advanced things. And then, in my opinion, one of the best things that's come out of our education team is this fundamentals of revenue management course. You can take that. None of these are going to take hours and hours and hours of your life by any stretch, but you can go in there, take that, get a certification, and really understand the concepts behind revenue management. Now, if you don't want to take tests and you're more of a, I want to watch videos kind of person, right down through here, you have a bunch of other options as well. You go directly to our YouTube if you want to catch some of those videos. Got some help articles. Our knowledge base is very, very in depth, and you can basically search for anything in there if you want to. But these two right here will be beneficial for you as well. We have on-demand webinars. So if you wanted to go in and watch a little bit of the masterclass or watch how we look at other tools and things like that, you can. And then you have some live training sessions as well you can click on, and you can sign up directly for those and participate in a live training session as well. This isn't a one-on-one training session. This is like a group teaching session. These are all available for you right there in your PriceLabs Academy. And all of this information is free. There is no charge to use PriceLabs Academy. Just go right there to your training, and then you can find it.
I love it. I love it. So in this next video that I was going to say we are going to release, by the way, if you are watching this and you're like, okay, I want to learn more, be sure to click over to the next video, which we're going to be talking about is my price right and how do I actually know if my price is right. Be sure to check that out. But Kyle, before we wrap up this training, is there anything that you want folks to know if they're brand new users to PriceLabs?
Yeah, I think a couple of things actually. One, trust the system. Now, it is a tool, but especially for those 14 to 21 days, trust the system. Understand that if you want to learn about any of these things, any other functionality, you have helpful tools, you have help resources. You can always click learn more. You have great breakdowns here with how does this work, and it tells you how each thing works. What I would say is incredibly important that we haven't gotten to yet is your stay restrictions. Pricing's great. If you have pricing that's right in line with market, that's perfect. But if you're trying to get 7 nights and forcing that, and the market is dictating 2 nights, it doesn't matter what your pricing is, because you're probably going to struggle to be visible. So if you don't have a minimum stay strategy, PriceLabs has the first dynamic dynamic minimum stay recommendation engine. So you can come right here into your minimum stays. It's also right there in stay restrictions. And you can set this up by telling it, hey, don't go below this. So if you will only accept a 2-night minimum length of stay, or 2 nights or more, you can come in and say, don't allow those 1 nights. And now PriceLabs is going to go in and adapt those minimum stays for you. If you start underperforming, it might tweak that for you, get a booking, and then book up. So this, I think, is very key for everybody that's new. Go turn on the PriceLabs recommendations for your minimum stay settings, set your lowest gaps and the lowest dates allowed, and then let it run. And again, it's something else that'll learn from itself and autocorrect, and you have control in it as well. So I think that's something that's very, very important.
I love it. I love it. Kyle, this is so great. Thank you so much for giving us this deep dive into, hey, I'm brand new to PriceLabs. How do I get things set up? So very helpful.
Absolutely. Pleasure's all mine. And again, if you ever need some help on your journey, support at pricelabs.co will take care of you.
All right. Now that you've got the foundation in place, there's a really important question we need to answer. How do you know if your pricing is actually working? Because a full calendar might feel like a success. But believe it or not, 100% occupancy can actually be a sign that you're leaving money on the table. And that's exactly what Kyle and I are digging into in the next video. We're going to show you the metrics that matter, how to tell if your pricing is healthy, and what your numbers are really trying to tell you. So click into the next video, and I'll see you there.